In this session, we are going to take a look at creating a subsite in Vision, creating a Vision user, and modifying the permissions for that user. Before we get started, it's important to note that only the organization admin or owner of the account may invite and delete users and modify permissions. The owner has full visibility and configuration access to all sites associated within their account. Let's take a look at the 4 levels of access that Turing Vision provides. The first one, as the name indicates, no access. Users will have no access to the site or the subsite's cameras. Live Viewer. This level will allow users to only view live streams with no access to playback or any other functionality. Live Viewer can be applied to a site or subsite. Site Operator. With this permission level, users will be able to access live video, playback, search, and alerts. They will also have the ability to download and archive video. Site Operator can be applied to a site or subsite. The last level is Site Manager. This level gives access to the same permissions as Site Operator, but in addition, Site Manager has the ability to configure alert rules, notifications, and modify camera settings. Site Manager level cannot be associated with a subsite. It can only be associated with a site. Before creating a user, let's talk about subsites and look at how to create them. A site, which we will refer to as root site, is created during the installation process. All cameras are added to the root site by default. In order to granularly manage user permission, the admin could create a subsite underneath the root site which will allow the admin to parse out specific cameras. Let's take a look. Once you are logged into Vision as the account admin or owner, you will expand the Settings tab and select Sites. After selecting Sites, your site or sites will appear to the right. Hover your mouse over the site you wish to add a subsite to. Once hovering, 4 icons will appear. From left to right, they are Share, which we will review in a separate video. Add Subsite, that we will discuss shortly. Edit Site, this allows you to edit the site name and address. And lastly, Delete Site. This will remove the site completely. To create a subsite, click on the plus icon. A separate box will appear that will allow you to add a subsite to the root site. This gives you the ability to group specific cameras or set up a more detailed user access. For instance, you could provide a single user multiple levels of access at the same site. They could be a site operator for all interior cameras, but only have live viewer access to exterior cameras. Let's name our subsite. Once naming, you will click Done. Click on the arrow to expand the site. This is where your newly created subsite will appear. A newly created subsite will not have any cameras associated with it. Let's look at how we can associate cameras from the root or parent site to the new subsite. First, switch to the root site tab. You will then determine which cameras you would like to associate with the subsite. When hovering over a specific camera, 2 icons will appear to the right. Share and Move. For this exercise, we are going to select the Move button. This will allow us to select which subsite we would like to move this camera to. You can repeat this process to move additional cameras to a subsite. After selecting the cameras you wish to associate with a subsite, select the subsite to verify your cameras were properly selected. You can then return to the Cameras tab, expand the root or parent site. Then expand the subsite and your cameras will appear for viewing. You can then select the entire subsite or individually select cameras. Now that we've created our subsite, let's create a user. Return to the home screen and expand Settings. You will then select Users. To add a new user, you will click on the plus user button in the top right-hand corner. Here you will add their name, email address, and you also have the option to determine which platform they will have access to the sites through. You can choose website or mobile app only, or you can provide them access through both. Once clicking Done, you will be prompted to select which sites and what level of access they have at each site. All sites that fall under the organization owner will appear here. By default, no access will be selected for each site. You will now see how creating a subsite allows you to get very specific with what cameras and what level of access an individual has. For this example, we will assign Live Viewer only to the Carolinas Warehouse site. For our newly created subsite, which includes 2 cameras, we will give Site Operator access. Before we assign, however, you may notice that Site Manager is not an option. As we previously discussed in this video, Site Manager can only be applied to the root or parent site. The final step in this process is to click Save Changes in the top right-hand corner. Your newly created user will receive an email prompting them to install the Turing Vision app and create a secure password. As organization owner, you can return to the user's page at any time to add more users, change permissions of existing users, or delete users altogether. Thank you for joining us for this session today. Please join us for more tutorials in order to get the most out of your Turing system.